better roll. Wait.
Like, love it. Ready?
Okay.
This is Haley.
And this is Bailey. You're listening to Unleashed. It's Christmas time.
Woohoo! I love your Christmas pajamas. It looks like, what does it say? Snoozing? Snoozing all the way? That's brilliant.
It reminds me of Hudson. I don't know if you can hear him, but he is right behind me snoozing, and this is just
Snoozing
perfect.
all the way. He's already in the holiday spirit. I love it. That's fun. Where did you get those?
Old Navy.
Old Navy. Oh man, I got some Old Navy pajamas this year too, and I actually was like, why haven't I gotten them before? Like, I know so many people who get those, and I just never thought about it.
I never thought about it. And they did have a lot of Christmas PJs for your pups that match you. Unfortunately, when I went, they were sold out, but I think if you jump on that next year, you can get some 21s, which is always so much fun.
I love Christmas pajamas, and I actually didn't do Christmas pajamas really with my family until I got older. Did you do any fun traditions with holiday pajamas with your family when you were younger?
We do Christmas PJs every year. My grandma started Christmas PJs when I was younger. She would get us all matching Christmas PJs and wrap them. We didn't know the theme. We didn't know what they looked like. And we would unwrap them on Christmas Eve all together before dinner. And when my grandma passed away, my aunt actually carried on the tradition, and we still do it. It's so much fun. Hudson now gets PJs also.
Oh, fun. That's so cute. So you guys, like, do they all match? Did you say they matched?
Yeah, they all match. They're usually onesies, but, you run into the problem of running out of sizes because, they do it last minute or they do it a little close to Christmas because that's when you kind of start thinking about it. So we try and do onesies, but it's really, I think sometimes comes down to what they can get in every size from, like, little kid to dog to, adults.
That is so fun. So is everyone on board for that? Do they not give any, like, crap about it? Everyone's like, yeah, onesies all the way for everyone.
Yeah, and then we all put them on and we take a family photo, which is really fun and just it's so goofy, I feel like, but I love it
I
so
want to
much.
see these pictures. I need to see them.
They're coming. They are coming.
That is so fun. I love holiday traditions, and I mean, this time of the year is just so much fun. There's so many things to do, and I often feel like I don't get nearly as much as I wanted to because of all the fun traditions, just like for me and Bryce, and then like just with my family, and I mean, even with friends, like stuff like that. I just feel like there's just not enough time in the world to get everything done during the holidays. I wish it was longer.
Do you and Bryce do any traditions together?
We do. We have a lot of fun ones. Some that were passed over from my family that we did, and then some we've created on our own. Like, so since we live in a warm climate, I mean, it doesn't snow. I mean, usually what we would do when we lived in Colorado and Idaho, we would go around looking at Christmas lights, and then we would get hot chocolate to drink, and like I'd hold Olive, and it'd be like super fun and cozy, and it's snowing usually. But when we moved to California, it wasn't like snowy or anything like that, and so we're like, hot chocolate, like this doesn't feel appropriate, it's so warm outside. And so we switched it to peppermint milkshakes actually, and then we would drive around. There's a whole street, like there's candy cane lanes everywhere. I found out. I thought that was like a designated location for it, but it turns out like candy cane lanes are everywhere. And so we find like neighborhoods that have like all these Christmas lights up, and we go and drive around listening to Christmas music, and we have our little peppermint milkshake, and the windows are down, and we're like, it's so nice. Like it's not freezing outside.
I love that. I need to know, is this peppermint milkshake good? Because I've never had one and I'm just so curious. Now I need to try it this year because we are in Florida and
Oh my gosh.
melting, so it sounds perfect.
It's so good. So we usually would do the Chick-fil-A peppermint milkshake, but I decided to start doing homemade ones, and I got like peppermint ice cream from the grocery store, and then I would make them. At least now I do. I'll make them from home, and then we'll take them with us. They're so good. Most people, I mean, if you're not into peppermint per se, I mean, they probably wouldn't like it because I mean, that's a minty treat. If you're into that, then you'll love it. If you're not, then I don't know if it would be up your alley for it.
I'm going to just need to try it this year. I feel like it's the perfect time to try it because we're going to be here until
Yeah.
right before Christmas, and then we're going to Nashville where it's going to be freezing. So I feel like we need to do that here, and then I can do hot chocolate in Nashville.
That's perfect. Get the best of both worlds. Do you like peppermint holiday treats and sweets like that during this time of the year, or do you prefer more of like eggnog, hot chocolate kind of stuff?
I usually lean towards more hot chocolate just because I love chocolate stuff so much, but I'm really excited to actually try this because I feel like I need to switch it up and try something different, and
Oh yeah.
maybe I'll love it.
Yeah, open it up, try different things. I used to not like it's like the fruit with chocolate, like the cranberry chocolate stuff. Like I never got I actually still kind of don't. I'm not a huge fan of like mixing chocolate and fruits together. I think only chocolate covered strawberries, but like anything else I'm like, meh.
I always say, I'm like, we're not trying to make my dessert healthy. Like when we put like peanuts on it, I'm like, no,
If you're
wrong.
gonna eat like sugar, man, just eat it right. Like stop trying to make it healthy. That's
I always
totally
say that.
true. I love that. That's really fun. Do you do any fun traditions for the holidays?
We do Christmas all together as like an extended family, which I feel is such a fun tradition for us to all be together. And, we meet up in a spot. I think this year we're going to be in Nashville. And on Christmas Eve, actually, I think everybody does this differently. So this is our tradition, is we do open all our family gifts on Christmas Eve. And then on Christmas Day, we open all our presents from Santa. So I think that's a fun little tradition because I actually learned, I thought that was how everybody did it, but I found out that everybody does it differently, and I just
Oh,
think that's really
totally.
fun.
That's really funny. Oh yeah, it's funny how like when you're a kid, you just think that these things are normal. Like I remember this is like not related to Christmas, but like when I heard someone call their like mom, I'm like, that's my mom's name. That's not your mom's name. Like what? And then I found out, oh wait, that's like everyone has a mom. Like I did not get that. And so I was really thrown off. But yeah, that's super fun. I love that. So you open family gifts on Christmas Eve and then Santa's gifts on Christmas Day. That is so cute. I love that.
Which has always been the way we've done it, and I love it, but I still think it's so funny that I did not realize that's not how everybody does it.
That's funny. Yeah, my family would allow us to like open one gift on Christmas Eve and then like the rest would be on Christmas Day, but I always like felt they were like if you want to open up one gift on Christmas Eve that's fine, but just remember that's one less gift to open tomorrow. And I was like, I don't care. I want to open it now. And I'd always like, can I open the biggest one? And they'd be like, no, you cannot open the biggest one. I'm like, dang it. But yeah, we would open up a gift on Christmas Eve.
That's what I feel like most people I've heard, I don't know, a lot of people I've talked to have said, "Oh yeah, we opened one Christmas present on Christmas Eve," and I've always done it where we open all our gifts, and I just think that's so interesting because on Christmas Eve, now that it's like our tradition, the kids are, all day. When is it time to open presents? When is it time to open presents? So we actually do our Christmas PJs before dinner as the one gift so that they've opened something and they, can then kind of hold on a little longer until after dinner. Do you guys do any fun traditions? I love hearing your traditions. I think we talked about traditions for Halloween, and I
Oh
realized,
my gosh,
wow,
yes.
this is so fun hearing different traditions, and you made me want
I
to
think it's
start some
so
of
fun.
these.
Oh yeah, it's so fun to hear other people's traditions because it's like, oh, I want to try that. That sounds like so much fun. We do a lot. I think one of my most memorable traditions, at least as a child, I mean, to this day, I still think it's super fun, is doing gingerbread houses. Like we would make them from scratch. So, I mean, minus like the actual like building block, we would use graham crackers, and then my mom would make like a royal icing to like glue it together. Which I mean, most stores like provide like pre-done ones which are fine, but we always like got candies and then we'd like go all out. Like my brothers would make like massive like towers, and I mean I'd always have big dreams of what I want and then it would never go the way I want, and it would be like an all day thing. Like it would take hours, and then by the time I'd be like done building the foundation of the gingerbread house, I wouldn't want to decorate it because I'd be bored. Like I'd be ready to, I'm like, I'm so tired. So then my mom would just jump in and decorate it for me, and I'd be like, okay, cool, yeah, that's fun. But I told her this year, I was like, if I if I come to Colorado for Christmas, I definitely want a pre-built one because I just am so tired of getting burnt out, and like my ideas just do not come full circle. It's bad. And I don't even finish the back of them either. I just like it's all open concept. It's really fun.
I love that. That sounds like so much fun. All those little things, even if it's like you never finished it or you didn't finish the back, it's those moments together as a family doing it that really make it so special. And that's what I love about the holidays is slowing down and getting that time with family. And something you did this year that I really liked and I actually really pushed to do this year in an RV and traveling was you were like, okay, we took a day and we get in our PJs and me and Bryce decorate. And I loved that. And, our spot's small and I had to go Christmas shopping and get everything new because it's our first Christmas in the RV. But I really took that time. We like put Christmas music on and slowed down. Instead of doing it like slowly, we sat down and like did it together. And that memory is just so special.
Yeah, I can see your stockings behind you are so cute.
Thanks.
Those
I'm
are
so
so
excited.
fun. Did you get a tree for your RV?
Yes, it's right here. I'd move the camera, but
Don't move the setup.
that sounds scary. But yeah, it's right here.
Yeah.
It's a baby Christmas tree, and it was actually so hard to find a baby Christmas tree. We went to like a couple different Christmas tree lots, Home Depot, and then we finally found it, and I was so excited. And we had to figure out how to get everything to stay when we were driving, and that is something you really have to think out.
Oh. Yeah, because things probably get knocked around and then, like, probably end up falling, and especially because I mean, I don't usually get real Christmas trees, mine's fake, but I do know, like, we got a couple, like, growing up. Bryce and I had a real one year, and so they had to, like, sit in water. Is yours having to sit in water, or do you just water it?
Yeah, no, it's sitting in water right now. It is tied. We've had, honestly, knock on wood, we have had a great experience with everything staying up the whole time. Like, we drive every day, and Evan tied our Christmas tree down in a very unique way. I was like, wait, that was really smart. But we do have water in it. I just keep it pretty low. Usually, I feel like at home we would fill it a lot more, but here I just kind of do it every day a little just because we're driving. I'm like, it's just going to splash
That
out.
makes sense. Yeah, you don't want it spilling, and then or it's just a glorified dog water bowl. Just sit on the ground. There you go. Have some
Like,
natural pine water.
yeah, just like, my cookie the other day, I got Hudson a Christmas cookie and me and Haley were on the phone and I stepped, this just gives me flashbacks. I'm like, the water's going to spill right where the cookie was because it's how it's set up. And I stepped on it and we were on a call planning for our podcast and I got blue all over this couch right here. That was
It's
fun.
true. Like, I was on FaceTime with her, and she all of a sudden just makes, like, this face, and then the camera froze, like, our connection got frozen, and I was like, "What is happening?" And her face is like and I'm like, "How do you even do that with your mouth? What is happening?" It's so funny, and she's like, "There's a cookie everywhere."
It
Like,
was
"Alright."
everywhere. Like, we live in a small space. It was everywhere. And then when Evan got back from kiting, I looked at the bed and it was on the bed too. I was like, I literally just walked over there for a second. Like, I don't understand where it's coming from.
It just got everywhere. That's hilarious. So, if it was a cookie for Hudson, I mean, was it like a little Christmas gift for Hudson, or was it just like a holiday treat? What was it?
Yeah, I went to the pet store and there was Christmas cookies and I was like, "Oh, this is so cute. I'll get it for him." And he was actually really excited about it. And if you know him, and I talk about this a lot, he's super picky. So I was like, "Oh, like he's excited. He actually took it." And
He
then
wants the
he kind of just went,
cookie.
yeah. I was like, "Oh, that's so nice." And he like not again. We're not getting another one here. And he buried it, but it's so hot it melted. So like whatever was on top just, was no
That makes
longer.
sense. That
It was
makes
on my
sense.
foot. It was not on the
It's
cookie
on my
anymore.
foot. Normal. I mean, I'm sure it still tasted great to him regardless if you stepped on it or not.
Yeah, I hope
That's
so.
fun. So do you get Hudson Christmas gifts then for the holidays? Do you like to buy him stuff?
Yeah, I do. I think it's really fun. I actually got him something today, but I gave it to him today because I couldn't not. But yes, I
I
usually
gave it to him early.
just a little early. I usually stock his stuffing or stock his stuffing.
Stock his stuffing.
Well, that is not how you say it. I stuff I stuff his stocking and I let him open it and he has so much fun. I did that because one year I actually got a stocking, I don't have it in the RV with his name on it. So I filled it and he loves to like pull things out. So I get him like toys and things I know he gets really excited about, but I kind of keep it small. One year I did a bunch of gifts and wrapped them, but then I realized it's more fun if it's in the stocking because he can pull it out on his own. What about you? Do you do stuff for Olive?
Oh yeah, it's funny because like ever since she was like a little puppy, we always kind of like got her little things, and it wasn't until her first birthday that I put like her gifts in her like little like gift bag, and then like Christmas because her birthday's in November and then Christmas December, so it's like presents galore. And she like knows when something is wrapped in a gift bag to stick her head into the tissue paper and like pull out the gift. Like she knows what to do. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so funny. Like you know that you're about to get like a toy. And so it's really entertaining for me to like watch her like get excited. As weird as that sounds, like she knows exactly what's going on. And I love buying them for her. We usually probably buy around 3 or 4 gifts for her. Sometimes it just kind of depends, but we do get her stuff like throughout like the season too, like some holiday toys to play with before. But how about you? Do you how many gifts do you usually buy for Hudson?
I feel like it just depends on the year. Like 2 years ago, I did a lot of things. I filled a bag and let him open that and his stocking. I feel like this year I'll probably keep it a little smaller just because we're in the RV. So how much stuff he can actually have is pretty limited. I kind of rotate it pretty often, anyways. So I think I'll do a few more toys. I just feel like they get dirty really quick. I don't know why, but I think because we're playing outside a lot and, kind of going in and out. So I'll probably get him a few more toys and do things like that. But I keep it kind of small just because we do get stuff a lot throughout the year also.
That makes sense. I mean, when you're traveling, you want to be hauling a ton of stuff everywhere, so I get that. Do you usually do Christmas with just you and Evan and Hudson, or do you go to each other's families? How does that usually work for you guys?
We split it between both our families. We love spending time with both our families. Both our families are huge family people and love to all be together. This year we are heading to Nashville to spend it with my extended family. I'm an only child, so we always spend it with my cousins and aunts and just big family.
It's so
So
fun.
yeah, I'm really excited. We're going to be there for Christmas and Christmas Day. And then we are heading to LA or Santa Barbara for a few days to see his family after and celebrate there. And then we'll be back to Nashville and then Florida. We're all over.
Wow.
But yeah, we do both. That was a long, this has been an issue lately is when somebody asks me a very simple question, it becomes very complicated very quickly. Somebody was like, "Where do you live?" I was like, I need a simple answer because this just turns into a very complicated answer.
Say I don't have a landing spot. That's what I
Yeah,
would say. I'm all over. Living
literally
life.
all over. Because sometimes, people are just trying to be nice and then you're like explaining for like 5 minutes. You're like, well, that's not what I meant to do. What about you guys? Do you guys spend it with just you and Bryce and Olive, or do you guys go to both families?
It gets complicated too. I mean, I don't think it's just a simple yes or no answer, but we do usually spend it with family. However, this year we're changing things up. It's just going to be Bryce and I for the first time. Like, we're just going to celebrate it with us on Christmas, and we're still figuring out our New Year's plans. We're debating on what we want to do there, but usually we would like switch off and like we go to my family. I mean, we did a Christmas with Bryce's family, but I told him I kind of just want to start making more meaningful trips throughout the year to see our families that are not necessarily on the actual holiday, because I want to start doing our own like things on the holidays. It gets stressful, and I just don't like the big pressures that come with family gatherings around the holidays to like put on this big holiday show. And so I'm just like, let's just make more meaningful trips throughout the year to see them, and that way there's no pressure for a holiday dinner or anything like that, and then we can have all the time in the world to just relax and hang out, and then we could just enjoy it here, and then we don't have to haul presents everywhere we go. So it's a different. I don't know. I don't. We'll see how it goes this year, because this is our first time doing it. I mean, I think it sounds fun, but at the same time, we're both very much family people, so I feel like I'm going to be a little sad too, because we like to be with family. So I don't know.
Yeah, you'll definitely have to tell me how it goes. We did that one year and it was so different. At least it wasn't Evan and I, it was just me and my parents, but that's a lot smaller than our usual Christmas and it definitely felt different. So I'm curious. I mean, everyone's so different with the holidays and I love how everybody does it so differently. I'm definitely interested to hear what you think about it
I
after this
know,
year.
right? I'm like, well, we'll just have to make sure we plan it, because we usually, before we would travel to our families, we would go and like we'd have like December 19th, or like a day we'd make like our Christmas to open gifts too. But we're like, oh man, like we get 2 Christmases essentially, because then we would have our Christmas together and then we'd have the family Christmas. But this year, since we're just like, I just kind of want, like, we've been traveling a lot, we just kind of want to just breathe. There's a lot going on, so we're just gonna see how it goes. If it doesn't work out, then we'll see how we are next year. But I like the idea of maybe traveling for Christmases too. Like, I really want to be able to see like New York at Christmas time. Oh, it's like a dream of mine. But I mean, how about you? Would you like to travel during the holidays ever? I mean, you're traveling all the time, so I mean, that's kind of like a that's kind of like a loaded question.
I think it would be so much fun, and we've talked about doing a whole family vacation where everybody would go and meet up, and I think that would be so fun. It's just getting everyone to pull together and be able, to get to one spot all at the same time, which is very hard when it comes to our schedule. But I think it would be really fun. We've talked about doing that instead of gifts, and I think that's a great idea for us. I'm so happy to just go spend time with family and friends and do that. So I feel like, hopefully we get to do that one year because it's definitely on my bucket list to do.
That sounds fun. Yeah, I love experiences. Often I'll ask for like when my family's like, "What do you want for Christmas?" And I'll just be like, "I don't know." Like, for example, like this year, my parents got Bryce and I tickets to Disneyland, and I'm like, "That sounds fun. Like, that's great. I love that. It's something I'll remember forever, and it's something I get to go do. I have everything I could ask for right now, so I'm like, I don't know what I would ask for if I had to not choose an experience."
I love that. I think experiences are so important. And, to be able to slow down with family and go to Disneyland and do those things, you're going to remember that forever.
Absolutely. I mean, if you could travel anywhere, where would you go?
For Christmas,
Mhm.
I feel like I go two very different extremes. Like a beachy, tropical island sounds so fun, but then a wintry house also sounds really fun. So I don't
Oh
know
my
what I would
gosh.
pick.
I know. I hear like Amsterdam is like really pretty during the holiday times, but like I've just been so like mind blown by how like pretty New York is during the holidays. I've always wanted to go ever since I was a little girl and I watched Eloise at Christmas time. Like that was one of my favorite movies as a little girl. And I think that I'm like Plaza Hotel in New York at Christmas time. Where when can I go? Let's do it. So one day, one day.
I've heard New York is so great. My cousins actually just went for Thanksgiving, but it was all decorated for Christmas. So
How
I'm actually
fun.
curious to hear how it went. I haven't had a chance to talk to them
I
about it.
know. I hear it's really cold though, especially because it's humid, like really humid there. I mean, I went in the summertime and I was like, holy cow, this is really like, humid. I didn't know New York would be so humid. I mean, I was really young, but I mean, it makes sense. And I'm like, okay, if you're gonna travel to New York, you gotta travel warm, but then thinking about like Olive in that aspect, like, is she gonna just freeze her butt off the entire time? Like, I don't want her to be uncomfortable. So it's those things you have to kind of like consider and think about during those times of the year too. It's kind of interesting to have to take that all into perspective.
I brought Hudson to the snow when he was little, and he actually had such a great time. I mean, he definitely was like, "What is this snow?" But I brought little sweaters and booties and a little beanie, and
Dog sweaters are so cute. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so tiny and you look so fluffy and cute. Oh my gosh, yes, I love dog sweaters. Those are super fun. What do you think would be considered your least favorite Christmas movie?
this is a really good question because I don't know if I have an answer to this one. hmm. I'm thinking I'm so into like the cheesy Christmas movies, so I love those.
Do you
I'm
like
trying to think of some.
Hallmark?
Yeah, I love Hallmark
I
movies.
love Hallmark. I'm such a sucker for cheesy like rom-coms and stuff like that. I love those.
I feel like I just can't think of something that I don't like right now. I know there's something, but I just can't put my finger on it right now. So, what's yours? Maybe that'll help me.
Let's think. Okay, I can't honestly say like what's my least favorite Christmas movie. Because I think if I were to say it's my least favorite, that's only because I haven't seen it, because I have no desire to see it, if that makes sense. But probably A Christmas Carol. I mean, it just kinda looks kind of, like, boring to me, and I'm probably gonna get some serious hate for saying that because I haven't seen it. But if I had to choose a movie that I have seen, White Christmas, I think the beginning is really fun and magical, but it's a really long movie, and I'm like, holy cow, like, this is a lot. But I mean, it's just I'm not a fan of White Christmas. It's really, really, really long.
I haven't seen either of those. See, I feel like I've always picked very cheesy movies to watch for Christmas, but I know that and I love that. So I'm like, I can't even think of something I haven't liked because even if they're not that good, they make me very excited for Christmas.
I know if it's in season, I love it. Do you have a favorite, or at least a movie you really like at Christmas time? It doesn't have to be necessarily your favorite.
Elf for sure, just so good. I love it. It's so good. It's so funny and I just love it. And then I'm really into the Grinch, but I'm really into the new Grinch, which is very controversial because I put it on my stories the other day and I got it was very back and forth, but I feel like the 2000s Grinch won over the new Grinch.
So when you say the new Grinch, do you mean so there's the original Grinch that came out in like the 60s, I think.
I
Really
haven't
a
seen that.
long time ago. The original? Okay, we've got to change that. It's like 20 minutes. It's really good. I mean, if you like, so you say the new one, the one that was the animation that came out just a few years ago, or are you talking about the one with Jim Carrey?
The new one, the animated one. I love it. And I love
Okay,
the
okay.
original too. Or I love not the original. I love the
Let's
Jim
say,
Carrey one.
but wait a minute.
The Jim Carrey one I love, but I feel like they're so different. And I had to watch the animated one a couple times to almost like not compare them because I don't feel they're comparable. They're very different and one's a little more light and they're very different, but I've been very into it. Just it's very light and fun and I feel like it makes you laugh and I love that during the holidays. So, yeah, I really like it, but what about you? Have you seen all the Grinches? Which is your favorite? I need to know.
So I actually I'm like literally the opposite of you. I have seen all of them, but like the latest one, the animation that came out just a few years ago. I started it last night, but then I got a phone call and then I was like really late and I was like, if I lay down right now, I'm going to fall asleep. So I do not want to miss out on this movie. So we're either going to finish it tonight or tomorrow. But so far I liked it. It was really cute. I went into it with the perspective of not like comparing it to the other Grinches just because it's a totally different like kind of storyline. And so I was open minded to it. I don't usually watch a lot of the newer animation movies that have come out lately. I don't know why. I'm not really a huge movie person, but when it comes to Christmas movies, I am your girl. I love them.
You definitely have to finish it. It is so cute and very
Yeah.
different, but really cute.
Yeah, I have to think about like my favorite Christmas movie. Like I mean I like a lot of Christmas movies, especially like I love Noelle. Like Noelle is so fun. I think she's like represents me at Christmas a lot and it's the Disney one. It's the newer Disney one too actually. And then if we're going classics, I'd probably either say The Polar Express or The Santa Claus. I love The Santa Claus.
Those are such good ones. Evan's favorite is Polar Express. He loves that movie. And I feel like I hadn't seen it in a long time. We actually watched it together last year. And I was like, this is so cute. And I love all those classic movies. I definitely want to make sure to sit down and, like, I need to make a list and go through them all because they're just all so cute.
So many. And like knowing how they made the Polar Express, I love like behind the scenes of movies and how they make them. I think it's so fascinating. Have you seen how they did the Polar Express and how they made it?
No, I haven't, but I love that stuff.
Yeah, so Tom Hanks had like little electrodes all over his body and he plays multiple characters like he's Santa Claus, he plays the conductor, he's the hobo on the top of the train. Like he plays all these roles and the electrodes are designed to make them look like the actual animation character. So if you watch it, you can kind of see little features like especially in the conductor of how it actually looks like Tom Hanks. And then they actually like are acting it out. If you Google like behind the scenes of the Polar Express, you'll see it. He looks like a robot with like little dots all over him. It's crazy how they did it, and it looks so real in the movie. And I'm like, well, that makes sense now.
That is so interesting. I need to look that up because I
Yeah, I
love
love
behind
it.
the scenes.
I love watching stuff behind the scenes. It is so fascinating, especially at Christmas time. Um, so fun. This is totally like kind of related, but a year or two ago, I was like looking at like being extras in like some movies just for fun. Like I've always wanted to experience like what it's like to be an extra. And there was some Hallmark movies that they were filming. I think it was around the end of August and it was called I think USS Christmas. And there was like a role for a Santa Claus like to play in the movie. And I was like, but you had to have a Santa suit and then you also had to be like over the age of like 50, I think, and play the role of Santa. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm going to sign my dad up for this." And so I did. I signed him up and he made it to like the second to last round of like the callbacks and stuff. Like it's just about like how much you like can make it forward. And then he ended up not getting casted for it. But then when the movie came out, I was like, this is the movie my dad was like could have been Santa in. Like I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's so funny." But it's like those little things that you don't think about when they film like holiday movies. It's like July when they're filming this stuff.
That's great. I think if I signed my dad up, I do not know if he would actually go and do the
Oh yeah, I
casting.
told him. He's like, "You did what now?" And I'm like, "You would play a great Santa. Like, come on." If you had to pick any movie though, like Christmas movie to be trapped in, like you'd be a part of, which movie would it be?
It would definitely be the elf. It would that seems perfect. It just seems so fun. What would you do? I'm so curious. I feel like you know so many Christmas movies off the top of your head where I feel like I need to watch more to remember all these, but I'm so curious. Where would you be trapped?
What Christmas movie would I want to be trapped in? That's a good question. Honestly, like I always wanted to be in the movie The Santa Claus because I remember, like, watching that movie so vividly when I was a little girl, being like, "Santa is, like, the coolest guy ever," and I just, like, was blown away that people could be like, work with him year round, and I just thought that was magical, and I was like, "I would love to be." I think it's Judy who makes him, like, hot chocolate. Just those little things, but I think it's just, like, I'm always all for classics, and I think that I'd pick either Santa Claus or Elf. I think Elf is a fun one too. I mean, to see a grown man walking around New York City in an elf costume.
I saw something the other day where they said, I don't know if this is true, but in Elf, in New York, like he would just jump out and they would be filming, but they weren't like all actors. They were people on the street when he was doing like the funny things, jumping around the street to get people's real reaction. And then after they would tell them like it was a movie and like they paid them, but they didn't know at first. So they got people's like genuine reactions on the streets of New York, which I think is so funny because that would
That's
be us.
really
That would be
funny.
where we were trapped with them, in New York.
That is really funny. My family, so actually my brother, so he got a dog at Christmas time a few years ago, and they named him Buddy after Buddy the Elf. I know it's a really common dog name, but it was really applicable because it was at Christmas time. I know it can be kind of controversial to get dogs at Christmas time, but I mean, when you're already like dedicated dog parent and like you are knowing what you're getting yourself into, I think it's a great idea.
I think it's such an interesting topic. It definitely is one of those that, I think is important to have and know when you're going into getting a dog for Christmas because I think, when I have kids and that is something, we're in the spot to get a dog, I would love to do that because I think it's such a memorable gift and so amazing. But at the same time, going into it, I would know what I'm going into because I have Hudson and I've done that where I feel like, a lot of times people go into it not thinking about all those other things. So I think, it's a very thought out. And if you take the time to really think it out, you said something the other day about this that was actually really spot on. Do you remember what you said?
Oh yeah, I definitely remember us talking about that. I think how I kind of just worded it was I don't see any issue with getting a dog for the holidays, but I think that if you're doing it off of an emotional like desire and like, oh, the dog's so cute and I want them so bad, but like then and you don't really have any experience with dogs or you don't have a dog. I mean, even if you do have a dog, you have to take consider like how they would interact with each other. Like you need to make sure you're being logical in it and that way you're not just, adding a dog to the family just to end up giving it up later because that just like breaks my heart. But I think that as long as there's an emotional and like a logical side behind it, then go for it. But I think, yeah, it just kind of comes down to making sure you're making a smart decision when you do that for the holidays.
I definitely agree. I actually got a Frenchie for my 16th birthday, which isn't Christmas, but it was a present. And I can tell you it was so memorable and so special. But my mom at the same time said, I was getting it for you, but it was a family dog. I knew it was going to become our family dog. I was going to take care of it because she knew she wanted a dog for our family, but she also knew it'd be really special if I got it for my 16th birthday. So I thought that was really, fun. And she did, a great job of also taking care of the pup.
Sure, it teaches you responsibility too. Like at that age, it definitely can be a whole different type of level when you get a dog for a gift.
I agree. And I think, it really led into me getting Hudson a few years later because, the puppy looked just like Hudson and all of that, which I just think is so fun that, because of that gift, it led into where I am today. But again, it is really important you think it out. You've done your research and you know it's the right decision going into Christmas to get a puppy because I know it can be so exciting. It's just making sure, like you said, you've done your research on it and you know you're ready for that.
So, in essence of having dogs at Christmas time, I mean, this is something I've heard. Having a Christmas tree up can be something that some pet owners have to take caution of with having a dog. And I mean, do you prefer, I mean, before I get into what I'm asking, do you prefer a real tree or a fake Christmas tree when you are doing Christmas decorations?
I've always done a real Christmas tree. I've actually never done a fake Christmas tree. I think I had like a fake one in my room maybe when I was little, but I've always done a real one. What about you? I know we talked about it earlier. You said you have a fake one right now. Is that something you always do, or
Yeah, so I've always done fake ones. My family did do some real ones growing when I was younger, growing up, but with the constantly traveling, I just didn't think that we could do a real one because it would die. And I also put my tree up November 1st, and I know that they don't last that long sometimes. So I'm like, yeah, I don't think that would work. But what I was saying though is that some people have to put baby gates around their tree because their dogs will like go at it and like, well, they'll try to eat it or whatever. Have you had any troubles with Hudson and your Christmas tree, whether if it's the one in your RV now or in years past?
that is so interesting because no, I haven't. But also, Hudson's so chill. Like, he is so calm and he is still snoring. He has been snoring this whole time we have been talking. He's just so chill that I don't think that's something he would do. But he also was very into our Christmas decorations this year, like, was barking at all them when I would take him out. But then once they were up, he was fine. But that's funny because, I could see that. Like, most dogs have energy and, oh, it's looks like a toy. I could totally see how you'd have to puppy proof your tree. Have you?
Absolutely. I haven't had to. Olive, like, I mean, Olive, I said that weird. Olive. Olive never really got into it. I mean, this year she actually kind of similar to Hudson. So an ornament fell off of the tree in our room and she was barking at it and like pawing at it. And I have like a whole video of her like trying to figure out what the heck is that. And it is so funny to me how those little things, like, they're not aware of. It's kinda like vacuums. They're just like, "What the heck is that?" Like, I'm not no, I don't like it. Or they like, "Or I really like it. Is that a toy for me?" And they're not really sure. It's kind of fun to see how they, interact with the things that we put up throughout the year.
100%. One of our ornaments was a reindeer with little bells on it, and when he heard the bells, that's when he got really excited. And I just could, I get it. It's different, something unique, and they haven't seen it before, so they're like, "What is that?" And they bark at it, and I totally get it. They get super into them, and it makes sense. And I loved that he was into it. I thought it was very cute, and I am also very happy that he calmed down because he is very obsessive. And the first night we brought home, I have like a ho 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 hanging right here. The first night we brought it home, it literally sat up on the bunk bed up there in our RV, and he sat there all night crying and barking at it. And I was like, do I wanted to give it to him, but I knew he had to, I had to like distract him. And finally I distracted him. It wasn't all night, but he did go to sleep there and then wake up the next morning and knew it was there. So I'm happy he moved past that because I don't want him to be sad looking at them and want it so bad. You said something earlier about your Christmas tree being in your room. So I'm really curious because I think this is different in every house. Do you have a Christmas tree only in your room? Do you have a Christmas tree in your room and your living room? How do you do it?
I want all the Christmas trees. I wanted to get another one this year, but we just couldn't find the one that I just, like, loved. Like, they're all so different, which is funny because like, a tree is a tree, but it's so not the case. Like, there are so many different kinds. But, yeah, no, this is in our main area, and then I have one in our room. It's, like, a little skinny tall one, and then I have a little tree for Olive too. It's, like, all dog themed. It has, like we get an ornament for her every year that's, like, representative, like, something that was big for her, whether if it was, like, something she accomplished or something fun. I haven't chosen her ornament for this year. I'm trying to think of like what kind of theme would go for what would represent Olive for the year, and I haven't kind of landed on something specific yet. But we also like to do that for Bryce and I. We like to pick an ornament for each other that, and we'll surprise each other on Christmas of what ornament represents our year's theme.
I love that tradition. Evan and I, when we first started dating, this didn't get very far, but I'll tell you. When we first started dating, on our first trip, we got an ornament, and we were like, every place we go, let's get an ornament and write the date on the bottom, which was such a great idea. But we only got one ornament in, and then, life and things got busy. So I'm hoping we can bring that back because we travel so much throughout the year. And honestly, if somebody asked me right this second where I've been this year, it takes a lot of thinking because we're literally on a plane all the time going somewhere new. But to have those ornaments, and I always think one day when my kids are opening those with us, they get to look at it. And I remember opening the gifts with or the ornaments with my parents and looking at the bottom and asking them about them, like why we wrote on them and what year it was from and the story. And I think that's what's so cool about ornaments. I want ornaments to have a story.
That's so fun. Yeah, I definitely had a tree growing up that was like all like sentimental ornaments, and so that's partially why I like having my main tree is the aesthetic tree, I guess, because I just don't. I used to like put a ton of stuff on it, not even so much sentimental, but I just like wanted something kind of simple and clean looking, just because I'm a very simple person when it comes to how I decorate. But Christmas, I kind of explode a little bit. But I tried to like fine tune it, and then having a separate tree for all the sentimental ornaments and stuff like that. But Bryce and I actually did something similar, but it did not get very far either. We wanted to do a key for every place we've lived, and we had like 4 or 5 keys, and we mixed them all up, and I don't know which one belongs to what now. So I was like, we should have wrote the dates on them because I don't know which one. I was like, I just have a bunch of keys. Someone even asked, like, why is there a key on your tree? And I was like, yeah, that doesn't really make sense. So we decided to not put it on the main tree.
It's those little things, and sometimes it does take a little extra thinking, or especially during the year when you're traveling in the middle of summer, you're not thinking of a Christmas ornament. But I feel like that's something I really want to do because it really is so special and it's so great to have those memories. But sometimes you just got to remind yourself because, like that, it can get confusing. You're like, wait, when did I get this? What year was that? Why?
Totally. It was really funny too, because like I was thinking, like, man, why can't it be Christmas year round? And then people are always like, then it wouldn't be so special. And I'm like, yeah, maybe, but I still love Christmas. But there are actually like stores that are Christmas stores like year round. Like there's one in San Francisco. I think they're all over, but like there's one in San Francisco, Solvang, California. And they're so fun because then it's like you can use mementos. Like I know some people will get ornaments for their tree when they travel for those like little like fun souvenir gifts. And I think that's super cute. My mom did something like that growing up.
I'm determined to get back to this because we only have one and it's so fun because it was from Mexico and it very much fit the trip and I feel like I just want to keep doing that. I'm going to write this in my notes so I don't forget.
Yeah, it definitely could take some time and effort to like really get into the swing of, oh, Christmas, it's July. Wait, what? Oh, a question I just thought of, super funny. We haven't actually talked about this, but if there was like an activity in the city that, whether if it was where you are now or when you were younger, did you go and do for the holidays? Like I know some like zoos will do zoo lights, and then like some will do like city parades. Do you like to go to those? Is there anything you like to do when you were younger, even now?
Yeah, we would do Candy Cane Lane a lot by us, and also my neighborhood goes all out, so we would golf cart around our neighborhood and do things like that, and then also ice
Cool.
skating. I feel like that's always a really fun one.
Classic. Classic. I love that. Ice skating is so fun if you know what you're doing.
I honestly haven't gone in a while, but I feel like I remember going a lot when I was growing up, and I feel like it'd be such a fun tradition. It's one of those things, again, you need to slow down to go and do, and that's what makes it so fun because you take the time to like step back, slow down, go do something that's so much fun, but with, loved ones or friends or whatever it is. What about you? Do you have anything that you would do every year growing up like that?
So there's a whole parade that Colorado would put on called the Denver Parade of Lights. And we would go and like, we would get a hotel downtown, and then we would go watch the parade and then go stay at the hotel. But one year, I think Bryce and I were actually married. It wasn't even that long ago. It was so random. I was like, I want to be in the parade this year. So I like Googled Denver Parade of Lights volunteer. I typed in, I was like, submission to be in parade. I was like, sweet, I can sign up to be in it. So I just like signed up to be in the parade. And I just like, you had to be approved for it and then get back to you on if you got approved to be in the parade. And so about 3 weeks later, I got an email saying you've been approved for the Denver Parade of Lights. Like, stay tuned to see what role you've been assigned in. I'm like, shut up! I'm gonna be in the Denver Parade of Lights. Like, how random! And so I told my family, I'm like, heads up, guys, I'm not gonna go to the Denver Parade of Lights with you. And they're like, why? And I'm like, because I'm in it. They're like, wait a minute, how in the world are you in the parade? And I was like, I signed up to be a volunteer. And so I don't know what I'm doing yet, but I'll let you know. And so then it was like a 2 or 3 night parade. I think it's two. This year it was one night, but the year I did it, it was 2 nights. And so when I got there, I was supposed to be what's called a banner elf. And it's just those little like people that hold like the banners like for each like new part of the parade. And I'm like, that's lame. Like, I don't want to be a banner elf. So I like went up to like the main person who was like in charge of handing out all the costumes to everybody. And I was like, is there any chance I can like be something else? Is there any like things that someone's not doing? And they're like, yeah, sure, you can be Claire on the Nutcracker. And I was like, wait a minute, shut up, seriously? They're like, yeah. And I was like, okay. And it was like you are on the float on the top of this huge float. I mean, they even have a part where you're on the news and they like film you for the people to watch at home, and you're supposed to be like dancing like a ballerina, and I am not a ballerina. And I was like, okay. And so they were like, they gave me my costume, they did my makeup, and then they took me to the float and they had all these little toy soldiers that were walking on the side. And they're like, hey, you have to hold on to this bar because it's really high up. And if you don't hold on to it, you're gonna fall off. I was like, oh, okay, great. I'm like, looks like something that should be choreographed. But yeah, no, I was on the top of it and it was so much fun. I was like, and my family's like, what is happening? Haley's on this big float randomly all by herself in the Denver Parade of Lights. I'm like, yeah, I am. It
I
was so
need
fun.
that sounds so fun. I need a video or a picture of this because it
Oh
sounds
yeah.
being thrown into that would throw me off so much. That is impressive. You just jumped in and did it.
Oh, I am so introverted too. Like, I don't know what got into me. Like, everyone was like, "What is happening, Haley? Like, this is so not you." I'm like, "I know." I was so scared. I remember like walking into like the whole facility where everyone met, and I was like, "Price, come with me." And he's like, "No, I am not doing that with you. Like, have fun." I'm like, "I'm so scared. I don't know anyone here." But I did it, and so it went well. It was definitely a comfort stepping out of my comfort zone for sure, but it was one of the most memorable moments for sure.
That's amazing. Honestly, it's so hard to push yourself out of your comfort zone sometimes that me and you talk about this a lot on how we really push ourselves to do that sometimes because you realize how amazing an experience can be. It can literally be the most simple thing, but to push yourself out of your comfort zone is honestly so important, even if it's
It's
little things or
so
big
true.
things.
I and that's what I love about the holidays is that it really does get you to do things that I think you don't usually do. Like some people really don't like being around family during the holidays, and it's but they know that that's something that, families like to be together and some people don't. But I mean, it does push you to do things that you may or may not be comfortable with, but it does I don't know. It's kind of like a character building thing. And whether if it's with family or like going to like a zoo, I know some people are like terrified of zoos and do not like that. But I mean, I think it's fun to kind of see what everyone's preferences are for the holidays.
I love talking about all these different traditions, hearing your stories, and just talking about the holidays. It's such a fun time to slow down and enjoy family time. And we will be going live on Wednesday about this topic. And I'd really love to hear different people's traditions and talk about that on our live because I love being able to have our podcast, but also be able to talk live with you guys and be able to interact with you guys because I think it's so important to talk about fun things. And, if it's serious or fun like this, it's so much fun to be able to talk to you guys and interact with you.
I totally agree. I think that if you guys have heard any of the questions we've asked on here, I want to know what your thoughts are. Do you have any Christmas movies you do not like, or Christmas songs, Christmas movies you love, or it's just unpopular opinions about this stuff? Because it's so interesting what one someone might love, someone might not like, and for different reasons. Like I hate the song Silent Night, and people are like, "Why?" But I mean, everyone's preferences are different. So if you have anything you want to share about it, let us know. We would love to hear more about all things Christmas.
Happy holidays!